board, it says it's 12:09 p.m. So we do have a quorum in attendance here at 110 Waterville Avenue, as well as on the telephone. So we'll start with approving the agenda that's been presented prior to the meeting. Can I get a motion on that?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any objections? Approved. So we'll move ahead with the current agenda. Now the minutes of the prior meeting of September 30th, 2020. I hope everyone had a chance to review them. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes? That look fine to me.
I'll make the motion, Mrs. Denise.
Thank you, Denise. Second from Mike. Any objections? It's approved. We'll try to make up a few minutes here. I think we've got a tailwind today. So.
Yes, you'll get us home. That's right. I know, what a pilot.
We'll start with the Board Operations Committee. I'll make a quick report from our meeting, which was on October 14th at 9:15 a.m. The committee reviewed the agendas for today's meeting. We have several consent items, as you know, along with updates on the strategic plan. Excuse me. Budget planning will begin shortly for next year's budget. It was a discussion item at the meeting, as well as committee last week. We'll convene a budget planning committee soon, as we did last year. Predicting next year's budget will be a challenge. COVID-19 has had a large impact on how we and our partners do business, making it difficult to forecast traditional revenue streams. The preliminary budget will be presented in December. Lisa Morello attended the meeting and gave us an update on advocacy and prospects for resuming normal governing activities. We continue to talk with local delegates about what CDTA has done to combat COVID-19, what our predicted budget might look like, and as well as the need to fill board vacancies. The next meeting of the Board Operations Committee is scheduled for November 4th, 9:15, Microsoft Teams, and here at 110 Waterville Avenue. If there are no questions, we'll move on to the Performance Monitoring Audit Committee. Denise, can you make your report, please?
Okay, thank you. Well, the committee met on October 21st at noon, and we have 3 items for insurance to vote on today, as well as an approval of a contract for articulated budget. So the first item is approval of a purchase of auto and general liability insurance. It provides protection against claims for injury and damage to people and property caused by our operation. We are self-insured with $2 million, with excess coverage of $8 million and $5 million, for total coverage of $13 million. We received 1 proposal for each layer. We have seen an increase in premiums and reduced market options this year because of industry insurance claims over the past 2 years. The proposals we received are from a good firm, and they have all met our criteria. So the committee needs a motion to approve a 1-year, $8 million excess policy with American Alternative Insurance Company of Princeton, New Jersey, a $5 million excess policy with Allied World National Assurance Company of New York, and a non-certified active terrorism policy with Lloyd's of London in New York. The total 1-year premium cost is $447,723, and it is effective November 10th, 2020.
Can I get a motion on this resolution?
So moved.
Thank you, Mike. A second?
Second. This is Georgie.
Thank you, Georgie. Any questions or other observations about this? Insurance, kind of needed to do business. We had a long discussion about it at the committee last week. Not hearing any comments. So all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed say no. Any objections? It's approved. We'll move on to the next item, Denise.
Okay, the next one is the approval of the purchase of auto physical damage insurance. The auto physical damage insurance over vehicles in the event of fire, theft, and collision. The insurance is priced based on the our fleet. Our present fleet value is $5 million. We received one proposal from our incumbent carrier, Lexington Insurance. Because of market losses and capacity restrictions, our $30 billion program was reduced to $25 million. We received a $5 million excess proposal from Homeland Insurance to keep the structure of our program the same. We need a motion to approve a one-year contract to Lexington Insurance in Boston, Massachusetts, and Homeland Insurance, Plymouth, Minnesota, for $289,723. I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Denise. Second? Thank you, Mike. Any other questions or comments about this insurance policy? Seeing none, all those in favor of Resolution 39, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any objections? Not objections. No objections.
Okay.
We're moving on.
Thank you.
Approved.
Our next item is approval of purchase of workers' comp, excess insurance, Workers' compensation excess insurance provides protection against large claims for employee injuries occurring on the job that exceed $750,000. CDTA is self-insured for the first $750,000. The incumbent has left the market. So our broker received several quotes with different program options from 3 carriers. The staff recommends increasing our self-insured retention level to $1 million. This will reduce the premium increase due to losses in the excess insurance market. We need a motion to approve to Ace Chubb Insurance Company of 436 Walnut Street, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, for $265,668.
Can I get a motion on this resolution, Resolution 40?
So moved.
Thank you, Mike. A second?
Second.
Thank you, Denise. Again, any questions or comments?
Just kind of a summary here. You're approving about $1 million, well, $1 million of premium costs to insure the entirety of the business. Pretty expensive stuff with lots of exposure. And thanks to the committee for a lot of work here. We're basically juggling the insurance program a bit because of the times we live in. Insurers are telling us that it's difficult to write these premiums. We really don't have a choice, right? We have, if they say it's difficult, it's difficult. Some of the reasons make your eyebrow go up, like bad weather and things of that nature. But all in all, it is a very difficult time to be looking for these insurances. So a little bit more costly, and we're assuming, as you know, more risk. That's what I would be we're a little troubled by that, but I think it's calculated.
Committee meeting went very well last week. Good explanations, discussions about all of this.
Appreciate the time.
Any other comments? All those in favor of Resolution 40 say aye.
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 Any opposed? The resolution is approved. On to the next one.
Okay, and our last approval is for purchase of articulated bus contract with New Flyer. Our current contract for articulated buses is expiring, and an RFP process was conducted. We received one proposal for a new 5-year contract. Dave Usansky provided a detailed summary of the procurement process, including the technical and price review method. New Flyer, the incumbent, provided the best and final offer of $806,990, only 1% more than the last price we paid for this type of vehicle. So we need a motion to approve a 5-year contract with New Flyer America Winnipeg, and at a cost of $806,990 per month, plus selected options.
Can we get a?
I can make that motion if you need it.
Yep, thank you. Thank you. Second?
Second.
Second by Mike. Any comments about buying 30 buses? This is done over a period of time.
Just to make sure that
authorization, correct. Yeah, thank you, Denise. No other comments? All those in favor of resolution?
Question,
Yes. Mark?
are, articulated buses available in electric yet?
Yes, they are, Mark. That would be I believe that'd be an option for us, although this is the base price is a diesel-based bus. But yes, they are available.
Because electric vehicles in general have higher purchase costs, lower fuel and maintenance costs. I think that should be taken into consideration in purchasing buses going forward.
Agreed, that's part of the pilot, that's part of the reporting that we're making back to the board. Actually, Chris gave his first report on that last month before, more reports to follow. But it is an option.
It's an option on this contract, right?
Well, I'm gonna have to have Stacy chime in on that.
Hi there, this is Stacy. It is not an option on this contract. That would be a cardinal change to this contract.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Just to clarify, this contract doesn't commit us to purchase any diesel buses. If we can find a vendor with a comparable cost electric bus, I think we should consider that when the time comes to purchase one. That would be another contract, obviously.
This contract does not commit us to purchase, but we did, as per FTA requirements, include what we thought we would be purchasing, which would be, I believe, up to 50 vehicles over the course of 5 years. We actually expect it to be a little bit lower. It would certainly be frowned upon to purchase no vehicles from the contract, but we do have a electric bus RFP out right now, which we are evaluating.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other comments? I'll call the question then. All those in favor of resolution 41 for the contract approval, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Were you a no, Mark, or an abstention?
That's enough.
Okay, that's a no for the record. The resolution's approved. Denise, continue with your report.
Okay, there were no audit committee items to report and no investment committee items to report. The administrative discussion items included the monthly management report. Mike Collins gave that report, and after the first 6 months of the year, the MRT is 18% more than budget estimates. We had our first full month of customer revenue, which is good to see. Although we report STOA, the state operating assistance, at 100%, we only received 70% of what was passed in the state budget. And our 5307 grant is available for us to draw from. That's due to the withhold the state has been taking from all of the contracts. Total revenue is 40% above budget for the year. On the expense side, wages are 5.6% under budget for the year. Health benefits are 5% under budget. Materials and supplies are 45% over budget, most of which is for the purchase of protective barriers for bus operators. And expenses are 8.5% under budget for the year. So our financial picture remains strong because of the CARES Act and the continued payouts of state. We are projected to end the fiscal year within budget. Any questions on the financial report?
No.
I don't see that in the agenda document. Is that included or not?
It's included in the packet. I don't believe they got sent out, did it, Mike?
Yes.
Yeah, that gets sent out with the final board packet.
It's a separate attachment to the email. So you have it.
Okay.
We can get you that information, Mark, if you can open that.
Go ahead,
I
Denise.
think it's not with the committee stuff, I'm not sure, is it attached to?
Yeah. We now include all of the materials that the committee members receive with the final board packet. Some of those are attachments. It'd be difficult to have it all in one document.
I do have the committee report.
Good.
Just one general comment on the committee report. Page 21, there's a summary of the monthly management report. It has the actual budget and variances by category, but it would be helpful just to have a summary total for revenue and expenses in the future.
We'll look at that, Mark, and make sure that that's included.
Okay.
All right, keep going.
Okay, then I'll move on to the monthly non-financial performance report. Mike Collins also gave that report this month. The total ridership is down 34% year to date. Car boardings are down 48% for the year. Fixed grab on-time performance is 74%, and the STAR on-time performance is at 86%. There were 15 preventable accidents and 22 non-preventable accidents this month, well within our normal expectation. And I guess the ridership continues to be a challenge in terms of bringing it back up to more normal levels.
Indeed.
Any questions on that?
Nope.
Okay, well, that concludes my report. The next meeting of the committee is on November 11th, at noon. Thank you.
Thanks, Denise.
Thank you, Denise. Is there a report on the investment committee for this meeting?
The report was distributed last month.
Report was distributed last month? Okay, I read that one too,
Exciting stuff.
but I forgot that I read it.
Quarter percent.
Yeah, it was part of my report. Sorry about that.
High finances, Denise.
The next item on the agenda is the Community and Stakeholder Relations Committee. Jackie, do you have a report for us?
Thank you, Jamie. The Community and Stakeholder Relations Committee met last week on October 22nd at 11:30 in the morning. Staff provided presentations and updates surrounding the strategic plan and our regular communication report. So first, John Scherzer presented an update on how we will roll out the new strategic plan using a hands-on approach to ensure that the plan is a CDTA product driven by employees and adopted by our board of directors. This rollout will involve a new suite of marketing assets containing the printed plan and targeted collateral such as bus ads, posters, etc. Other components will be employee roadshows to solicit feedback and branding the plan. The committee will report quarterly updates on the progress of the plan, its initiatives, and work plans. The organization is also being realistic and will focus on a few key initiatives for each pillar in year one. This allows for tangible progress to keep company-wide momentum. The second presentation was Jamie Watson, who summarized the monthly media community engagement report. There were 20 media stories on television and newspaper. Highlights included the success of the CDTA cycle program, the opening of the CDTA Health Center, and our partnership with APTA's national safety efforts. Jamie also discussed the dedication and commitment CDTA's employees have to giving back to the community. Despite COVID, CDTA CDTA participated in the Pride Center's 50th anniversary, the Tri-City Valley Cats Fall Festival, and the Real Men Wear Pink campaign. CDTA will be holding its annual Pink Bus Pull this Friday on October 30th at 1 p.m., featuring teams of essential workers throughout the Capital Region. The public can follow along on CDTA's Facebook page, and I believe it'll be streaming live. The next meeting of the committee will be held on Thursday, November 12th at 11:30 a.m. via Microsoft Teams and also in person at 110 Waterloo Ave.
Thank you, Jackie.
Does anyone have any questions?
Not here.
All right, that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Look forward to that bus poll.
What you got?
The next item on the agenda is the Strategic and Operational Planning Committee. Mike Cristiano will make the report.
Thanks, Jamie. The Strategic and Operational Planning Committee met last Thursday, October 22nd, here at 110 Waterloo Ave and via Microsoft Teams. We have two consent agenda items today for the board. First being to approve the disposition of Saratoga property. In 2008, CDTA sought to establish a new operating and maintenance facility for its Saratoga County services. Since the 2011 acquisition of the property to facilitate this expansion, expected ridership increases have not materialized as hoped. The property was purchased for $535,000 and has since been appraised at $1 million. Pyramid Brokerage Company was commissioned to broker the sale of the site. The property was listed on various brokerage sites and local and global MLS services, and the local market was canvassed for potential developers. The only offer made comes from Munter Enterprises in an amount of $600,000. Munter Enterprises is a construction and real estate development company who is responsible for development of much of the Grande Park. With the current economic climate and pandemic conditions, the pool of potential buyers and developers has shrunk since the appraisal was done. Appraisals are also done through the lens of highest and best use, meaning there is an ideal buyer who needs to build an industrial building at the current time of the appraisal. The advantages of this buyer is that he knows the property, it would be a cash deal in short time, and he is a developer willing to take a chance on sitting on the property for an extended period of time. Disposition will be done in accordance with the Public Authorities Accountability Act and other applicable laws. At this time, we need a motion to approve the disposition of the former Saratoga Bus Garage property for an amount of $600,000.
Do I get a motion on this resolution?
So moved.
Coming from Mike. Can I get a second?
I'll second. It's Jackie.
Thank you, Jackie. Any discussion on this item? We had quite a bit of discussion at the committee level. Anything to add to this in terms of timing or anything like that, Carl?
Well, we will, as Mike said, follow all applicable guidance, and the committee had a couple of suggestions that we are also following up on, make sure that all T's are crossed and all I's are dotted. This is, land that we bought a number of years back when we had plans to develop a facility in Saratoga County. Plans kind of, hit a wall for a number of reasons, as some of which Mike pointed out. And really, the land has not a lot of value to us right now. So really, behind the scenes, we've been working with the FDA. It requires their approval. We have their approval. And in fact, their understanding of what we're doing. We're basically using that money in other parts of our capital program. So that's all been set up. Chris and his guys and gals have done a good job in making sure the FDA is on board, because it's purchased federal money.
Going for a good cause.
Yes.
Any other questions or comments about this transaction?
I have a question.
could be, Mark, your guess is as good as ours. We've had this property now for a number of years, been up and down in the real estate market. Frankly, we're boxed in. The Munthers own, as Mike said, the majority of the property around it. Frankly, the only people that are likely to be able to develop it are them. It's doubtful that unless we build something on it, that we could make any meaningful improvement to the property. So essentially, it's an administrative, I wouldn't even call it a headache. It's just another thing for us to administer with the federal government. We've gotten their approval to make this basically it's an exchange. We're going to take the money and invest it in another part of our capital program. So we could wait. It's not do any harm, but we've waited actually several years now.
They ask us every once in a while.
Sorry?
They ask us every once in a while.
Yeah, the FTA,
what do you
yeah, that's a good point. Sorry, I should have mentioned it. Chris is right. The FTA asks us periodically, what are you going to do with the land? And at some point, we either have to, in layman's terms, put up or shut up. If we have no plans for it, then we have to move along. And right now, it's very difficult for us to articulate a plan.
Any other questions about this? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor of resolution 42 say aye.
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 Any opposed? Abstentions? It's approved. We'll move on to the next item.
All right, our second item is approval of 3 BRT land acquisitions. In October of 2016, the board approved our land acquisition plan for the River BRT. That plan included an accounting of the parcels required to implement it. Subsequent to executing the process, we published a determination and findings document which included the feedback from the public outreach activities. The board approved our determination and findings in January 2017, which included authorization to acquire the properties. This approach satisfies our small starts requirements. However, we want to be conservative and be sure to satisfy our internal guidelines as well. As such, 3 of the properties acquired were of high enough value that we are looking for an additional resolution to memorialize their approvals. 559 Broadway, 517 Delaware, and 720 South Pearl. So at this time, we need a motion to approve the acquisition of the 3 River BRT parcels outlined above.
Can I get a motion on this resolution? Second?
I'll second, Jackie.
Thank you, Jackie. Any questions, comments about this?
I'll ask Chris maybe to just give you a quick summary, but the reason why these 3 properties are in value a little higher than what we have been buying are that they're a little bit more than the postage stamp size parcels that we have been buying. These are turnarounds, things of that nature. But Chris, quick comment on those 3?
Yeah, that pretty much sums it up. The first item on the memo, that's the diner, that's park and ride. The second item, Delaware Avenue, I think that's near Whitehall, that corner. It's kind of a shopping plaza. It's a terminus for one of the forks on the BRT. So we need a turnaround for that. And then Center for Disability Services on the way kind of south end. Larger parcels, parking lots, essentially, they're just going to be graded and paved over. The diner is going to be knocked down. But again, we've met the FTA requirements. We just want to make sure we're conservative, meet our own requirements too.
And there was already prior authorization on all these older parcels.
Yep, but we just thought it was better safe than sorry.
Yeah, technically these 2, but it's okay. Well, because of the dollar amounts.
All right.
Go to the dollar amount, that's clear.
Yep. Good thing to do. Any questions from the board? Seeing none, I'll move the question, resolution 4.
I have one question.
Yes, Mark.
I used to work at Riverview in Manans, and I would take the number 22 and it was always a challenge to get across the street from the northbound side to the building. Is there going to be a BRT stop there that is a fairly large employer?
Riverview, the state office buildings. Riverview, all the old wards. I believe that's it.
Jeremy or Ross, you wanna hit that? Riverview is a station.
Yeah, this is Jeremy. Good afternoon, everybody. Yes, Riverview Station is one of the BRT stations. And it actually moved it closer to the signalized intersection and the crosswalk, so a little bit of a safer crossing rather than a mid-block crossing. Yep, well, the site is complete at this point too, so if you get a chance to go by, it's a really nice looking site as well.
Thank you.
Anything else? All those in favor of resolution 43, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolution is approved. Mike, continue with your report.
We had one administrative discussion item, fiscal year 21 mid-year budget review and fiscal year 22 budget kickoff. Mike Collins gave a presentation and facilitated discussion on the status of the budget for the current year and described the preliminary work done for next year's budget. MRT is tracking well at 18% over budget. However, RRS revenue is down 76%. STOA payments are coming in at 70%. We have not drawn down on our 5307 and the $42.7 million in CARES money has been exhausted. Wages are under budget by 5.6%. However, we have not started OGS or BRT service. Fuel consumption is tracking very low, and we are looking into the source of this. Developing the budget for next year will be challenging, predicting universal access, contract and parking revenue, predicting STOA and federal assistance, right-sizing service, and analyzing additional COVID-related impacts will all be tricky. We will be back in December to recommend a preliminary budget submission to Paris. We had no executive session items scheduled. The next meeting of the committee will be on Thursday, November 12th at 12 p.m. here at 110 Waterville Ave via Microsoft Teams. So that concludes my report, unless there's other comments or questions.
Anything for Mike and the committee? Good job, thank you. I guess we'll move on to Carm's report.
Thanks, Jamie. Every month I try to come up with a theme of these reports, what's the theme of the narrative, and I think the committee meetings captured the business transactions that are going on and sort of give you the flavor of activity that's yet to come, like BRT and things of that nature. But so my theme today is with all the issues that we're facing, with all the changes that COVID-19 has thrown at us, I would think the board and staff should take a second to just pause and realize what we've accomplished during a period where most businesses have come to a halt. We completed the company's first strategic plan. We commemorated our 50th anniversary. We're unveiling our second bus rapid transit line. In fact, we're the only transit system in upstate New York operating that progressive service. Our bike share program is breaking records, proving to be really the mobility option that people want. And we opened a new employee health center. Last I checked, one of the few self-contained employee health centers in the capital region or in upstate New York, certainly the only transit system that I could find in the Northeast with their own health center. So I think that really is the CDTA way, innovative, accomplished, involved, forward-thinking. It's what we constantly strive to be, but you have to sometimes stop, take a breath, and look at what we're doing. We have lots of issues. There are a lot of things that we need to resolve, namely ridership, as was pointed out, I think, in every committee report and pointed out by some of the comments. We're not happy with ridership being 40% less than it was same time last year. The good thing is we know why. The bad thing is we don't know when it's going to come back. I think moving forward, service planning is going to be is critical. But I hope the service planning men and women can operate with blindfolds on, because I'm not quite sure how we're going to be able to predict when that ridership comes back. Going back to forward thinking, innovative, if anybody can do it, I think our team can. Maintenance is another area that's changed dramatically. Cleaning and disinfecting is going on every day. We continue to evolve and change. It would not surprise me if 6 months from now, we're not cleaning and disinfecting every day, and in fact, there are systems on the bus that do that for us. That's how quickly that end of the business is changing. Regarding BRT, it's just amazing to me that we're able to open the second line in the year of COVID. But thanks to tremendous work throughout the company, this literally is throughout the company, multi-departments. All you have to do is drive along the corridor, and you can see it. It's visual signs, even in Lansingburg. Home to Pat Lance and the great Lance family. And complaints. Well, most of the Lance family. It's really outstanding to be able to do that. We had a town hall meeting yesterday. We did it virtually. We're adapting even there. Usually those would be face-to-face meetings with plenty of maps and lots of questions, but we did that from here. We assembled the team, and away we went. So that's great. I mentioned bikes. I mean, we're at 31,000 rides in 18 weeks. Last year we were at 40,000 for a full season, which is like 6 months. We might get to that same number. Probably be a little short, but as you recall, we rolled the bikes out real slow. For a while, there were only 100 bikes out. So we've accomplished this with actually, if you want to take bikes and convert it to days, way less bike days than last year. Lindsay Garney and John Scherzer are doing outstanding work. We completely revamped that program to be COVID friendly. 2 weeks ago, we had a group in here. We hosted sort of a mobility summit in our garage. We cleared out the garage, and there were scooters and e-bikes and all the next generation of mobility. And we had people from all around the area here. Everybody was, we want in, do more. So I think there's a lot left for us to do, and we are exploring every option. Sort of a friendly side bet, if you will, between Jamie Lott and I must tell you that the Boakland building is coming down, finally. You have to go on the other side of the building to see it.
Last week, but I drove by, yeah.
We've had a lot of stops and starts over there. Chris Desney and Jeremy Smith have lived through it. It's sort of the magical asbestos thing. Whenever you get inside a building, you find asbestos, and then you find a different form of asbestos, and then you find the asbestos that has to be wet before it can come down, or when it comes down it's wet, and it's been a slow process, but I guarantee you that next time you're here, well, I just about guarantee you the next time you're here, it'll be down. It'll pave the way for a new parking facility, which is badly needed. If you paid attention when you come down the hill, there are cars all over the place. We've got to fix that. And this will go a long way towards addressing that. So I think our forte is in mobility, not necessarily in acquiring and demolishing property. We know what we do well, we know what we don't do as well. A couple weeks ago, we were all saddened to hear that Senator Joseph Bruno died. I don't think we can go through a meeting without acknowledging his contributions to CDTA. There's a lot written, a lot said, but he really was a champion of the infrastructure. His name could be on a lot of different things here. It's on the ballpark at Hudson Valley. There's a commemoration of him at the airport. He was a friend of transportation, that's for sure, and really was the guy behind the Rensselaer Rail Station. He acquired the funding, he put the pieces in place, because at the time we were dealing with agencies that, were difficult for us to deal with, frankly. We had no experience in dealing with Amtrak, we had no experience in dealing with the railroads, we had no experience certainly in dealing with the US Post Office. The senator behind the scenes put all that together, so certainly an advocate for regional gateways, an advocate for mobility choices. We lost a great friend and a supporter, and I know that's going around the region, but I wanted to make sure that we memorialized his contributions to CDTA. And last, but certainly not least, hats off to everybody around the table, and just about every one of you had something to do with the strategic plan. I was convinced it wasn't going to be finished. We started it about a year ago, and when COVID hit, I said, oh boy, that looks like all that work is sort of for naught, but somehow we sort of reconstituted it and kept it going, and we shared some of the collaterals at Jackie's meeting last week, and it's really coming together. Stuff looks great, and it I think will help us set a clear direction for the next 3 or 4 years. The new mission statement, hopefully by next meeting, will be up on the wall. I think it captures who we are today. It says CDTA provides mobility solutions that connect the region's communities. I think it's short, it's sweet, it's to the point, and I think it will resonate with the people that we do business with. A couple of events I just wanted to point out. Jamie talked about the bus pull. It's this Friday. The Pink campaign has been going on all month of October. This is our 5th year. Our employees really love it. It's obviously a worthwhile cause. But hats off to Jamie Watson, who's done all the work for 5 years. And she's got a team of people who just rally around it. It's like the fall festival, which we had to postpone. We just had this team that looks forward to doing it and puts everything into it. So this is our 5th one. The pink bus is the star of the show. It's like a person now. It has its own booking agent and shows up around the region. But it's also United Way time, the annual giving campaign kicked off. We do a lot of work with the United Way. I think you all know the work that United Way does. Our employees just seem to have a connection to it. We are the largest per capita giving campaign in the United Way region, which is 8 counties, not 4. So that says a lot about our people and what they do. So October's been a great month, a full month. It looks like we're actually getting back to some sense of normalcy. There are actually real events and real activities and real, I think, accomplishments as a result. So all those things that we accomplished this year, thanks to everybody. It's 7 months, I would say no way we could have called this a great year, but it really is shaping up to be one of our best years. We'll struggle with the budget. It will be a difficult budget next year, but we will get it done. But it's going to, I think, give us some new things to think about. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Carr. Terrific report. Nice, upbeat. Good to hear. Good to put things into perspective. It's hard to sort of look at all the good things that have happened this year, consider all the bad things that have happened as well. Anybody have any questions for Carr or anything for the order before we adjourn?
No, thank you, not for me.
I've got just a quick thing, it's Jackie. I just wanted to say thank you for partnering with Sandusky County Board of Elections to provide trolley service for early voting. It's been very helpful.
Yeah, they were the first in, Jackie. I think we're doing something with Rensselaer, and I wouldn't be surprised if we get a couple of calls in the next few days.
Yeah, we've had absolutely record-breaking amounts of people coming to the polls, with all this pandemic stuff, so it's been very helpful. It's much appreciated.
You're welcome.
Good public service.
Yeah.
It's great. Didn't know they were doing that.
Anything else from anyone?
I have a couple of things. There's one, today there's a conference at NIT. I have some other conflicts, so I couldn't do that. anyway, but in future, I think it would be nice if we could avoid conflicting with that. Secondly, one of the other things I was doing was a conference of the Alliance for Clean Energy, and there was a presentation on electric vehicles. And one of the things I mentioned was for buses in particular, but in general, electric vehicles can serve as buffers and storage for solar and wind energy, which are intermittent, just to buffer the system and balance the load so supply will be available when needed. And the plugs coming out of the batteries on the vehicle have to be two-way so that they're compatible with feeding electricity back to the grid. And then the third thing, there was a program on New Yorker Radio, an interview with a New York City FTA bus operator about the challenges they're facing. They have been facing with the COVID crisis. I think they lost 80 bus operators. I will send out the link, but I strongly recommend listening to that. Well, one of the things he mentioned was that the operators wanted masks, and NTA said not only would they not supply the masks, but they initially forbade the operators from using their own masks. The union pushed back, and that was reversed. I don't think that would have happened if Andy Piper was still there. He made an effort to stay in communication with the rank and file workers, but that was outrageous and may have killed people. But it's a very moving interview, and I'll send the link and I recommend it.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Any other comments, contributions? Seeing none, I'll take a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Second, I'll second. Thank you everyone for attending today's meeting. We'll see you next month on Wednesday, November 18th for our normal noontime board meeting. Thank you again.
And thanks to Carly for carrying on.